Summary of events in Damascus and its countryside. Starting from the southern districts, where bombardment by mortars and rocket launchers on the city of Al-Hajar al-Aswad has increased. There was also heavy shelling on Al-Mukhayyam and 5 shells have fallen. An incident occurred on the southern orbital road on the route leading towards the west, in one of the security cars among a convoy of 4 security civil cars. The security blocked a part of the road and the crane came to take the damaged car. The cause of the incident remains unknown. Babila was exposed to heavy shelling by the regime tanks and mortars, while Yelda witnessed bombing with rocket launchers. In Sana'a, there were many arrests by regime forces supported by a number of cars, among civilians without knowing the reason. Among them was an old man, with heavy shooting in the air and intimidating the people passing by and beating them. In the center of the capital, a huge fire broke out in Al-Zablatani due to the missile bombardment that the neighborhood suffered from, and which caused a huge fire in a cork warehouse and thick smoke billowed in the capital sky. In Rukn al-Din, regime forces did a security raid as 6 minivans carrying heavy machine guns, Dashka, and a number of heavy armed security men gathered in Shamdin Square at about 8 a.m. Then the whole group headed to the upper alleys of Rukn al-Din. According to an eyewitness, more cars, security men, and others in anti-riot forces uniform, masked and in black, came up and went towards the area of Sheikh Ibrahim. They also set 2 barriers on each of Al-Wadi Road close to Ibn al-Amid Armoush building and the barrier in Al-Ju'iyya at Dr. Hamoud's clinic. 9 SUV cars also went up from Al-Shamdin Square to Armoush area, where they raided several houses and arrested 3 young men, then retreated to Armoush area where the queue was enforced with 9 more cars from the National Security Quarter. Among them were 3 Dashkas, as raids were set in the area of the Valley Road Armoush, the new alley, with breaking down house doors and subjugating homes. Many young men were arrested and 3 women were insulted. A demonstration took place in the main street of Rukn al-Din, close to Shamdin Square barrier, and it was broken up peacefully. In Kafar Sousa, heavy security spreading near Al-Hadi Mosque of about 15 cars was recorded and several houses were raided. As for the eastern Ghouta, the area witnessed flight of military aircraft, and it was recorded that 4 martyrs have fell due to the bombing by rocket launchers on the residential neighborhoods between Misraba Bridge and Halab Street, and many were wounded by the heavy shelling on Misraba. While Zamalka was exposed to heavy shelling with all sorts of weapons as rocket launchers and mortars, accompanied with flight of military aircraft and launch raids on it. In Saqba, many civilians, including children, were wounded due to an air raid with military aircraft and throwing cluster bombs. MiG aircraft launched 5 air raids on Al-Utayba and fired its heavy machine guns on civilians. Also, the mortar shelling led to wounding many in Jisrin. Heavy shelling with rocket launchers reached the towns of Ain Tarma and Al-Bilaliya, and many were wounded. In Al-Muqayliba, a number of civilians were wounded due to the shelling on the orchards area. Heavy shelling with mortars targeted Al-Buwayda and Hujayrat al-Balad, while great destruction prevailed on Al-Husayniyya camp because of the random bombing. Heavy shelling with mortars and tanks accompanied with shelling by rocket launchers targeted the residential buildings in Jober, coinciding with clashes between the Free Army and Al-Assad forces on the outskirts of Al-Abbasiyin. A raid targeted the area of Ghazwat Badr and caused the death of 2 children, a number of injuries, and a fire. Al-Qabun neighborhood witnessed bombing with tanks and many were wounded by the bullets of regime snipers, which targeted Damascus Homs highway. As for Daraya, it witnessed continuous shelling since the morning, which led to a huge destruction and the billowing of smoke. Military reinforcements headed from Al-Mazda military airport through the southern orbital road, consisting of 6 tanks, 4 MB carts, a number of military and civil cars, and buses for transporting soldiers. Al-Mu'addamiyya also witnessed very heavy shelling, and 3 high explosive shells fell broken throughout the city, as a number of martyrs fell, some got wounded, and a huge destruction occurred. The bombing on Al-Zabadani was renewed, while the associations of Al-Spain were exposed to shelling with mortars and heavy cannons, leading to the death of 10 martyrs, 5 among them of anonymous identity. A Scud rocket was launched from Al-Qalamun towards the north at 6:13 p.m., being the second rocket for today.